Hi guys, Alex from Genesis Media. Website tutorial today about adding a custom style sheet to a Joomla 3 website. Once again, this tutorial can be applied to other types of website as well, not just your Joomla 3, but that's what we'll be using. You can follow along the tutorial at step by step on the blog at genesismedia.net.au/blog, and just find this tutorial here, this entry, adding a custom style sheet. And you can see once again we've got steps. I've also included in this tutorial a download to a custom CSS file that I've already created for you, and you can download it from the link in the comments or that link I just showed you on my website there. This is what the style sheet looks like that you can download, and it's already got a bunch of stuff programmed in here that you can use. These are custom classes that enable you to create responsive elements on your web page, and it also makes use of media queries with 4 different screen sizes here. So any code that you put in between these 2 brackets here and here of that particular media query, the CSS will only affect that size screen. So it's a really handy file. There's also some other elements here, like you can do a clear both just by adding the class .clear. You can add a center. You can center things just by adding the center class. A few other things as well. You can hide and show things, different elements. I'll show you how to use it at the end of the tutorial. For now, I'll show you what we're going to do with this CSS. The example, we'll go back to the website. Over here I've got a Joomla install. It's set up on my local host here. You can see localhost 8888, and we have this element here. Let's have a look in the admin. Okay, so what I have is I have some code. It's a custom HTML module, and I'm using the Rockpad HTML editor, which I would really recommend getting used to. It's very, very easy to use. So you can see here I've got my icon, I've got a space there, I've got some text, and I've repeated this thing over 3 times, and this is what it looks like. It'll look like that, and that's how things in HTML work. They just stack one on top of the other. What I want this to look like is this, and we're going to use custom CSS to do that. And you can also see with use of those media queries, this thing will actually change. So the icons get a bit smaller as the screen comes across, and then smaller again till we get down to this size, and then they stack, and that's for mobiles. And so yeah, that's a responsive element. If you're not using CSS media queries, you soon will be, or you will get left behind. That is pretty much the standard for web design these days. So I'll show you how to add this. First of all, we have to link our style sheet, and we do that by going to our template index file. So in Joomla, you can see I've got my test folder here. Here's my Joomla files. Once again, we're not editing the home index.php. We're going into our template. This is the file that you'll do everything on, index.php wise. You'll go into template. We've just got protostar. You'll go into your template folder, find the index.php file, and open it. And I've already got it in here. I'll get rid of it. So we want to find this element here, the head tag, and we put our link to our style sheet in just after that head tag. So you can actually find the code for this in the blog itself. Down here under step 1, I've got the code right here. You can copy and paste it. So that's what we're going to do. Paste it into the index.php file just after the head tag. Now, one thing you'll have to change in here is the href, the hreference path, and we want to set the path to where we're going to be keeping our CSS file. So for me, that will be at localhost add // because I'm on the local host, so you'll put in http:// whatever.com /templates. I've got a couple of extra steps in here. Test protostar CSS custom CSS. Let's check that. Yep. Okay, so I'll save that and we can close this now. We don't need it. Now we will go into our file that we want to add custom classes for. Now this is where we'll be using some of the elements that I've programmed in. So with Rockpad I can highlight the whole section I want to wrap in a new div, and I can just click that and you'll see it puts the start and finish. I've got two cursors now. I can add div and you can see it's added my opening and closing tag for me. Yay. Now I'm going to give this a class. Class equals, and this is spacer, and if we have a look over here, my spacer class adds a margin, so that will be this margin in between these two elements here rather than having it side by side. So once we'll add this class to all three of these elements. Div what have I done? And the last one. Okay, next we want to wrap each section in this custom, a div with this custom class as well, width 33, and you'll see that each screen size has different properties, mostly they're the same, but on a large display that class has the property of width 33%, and you'll also see up here that it will become a display block and it will have a float left. So just by adding that class to that element, we are making it a block, floating it left, and giving it a width of 33%. So we can get all that code in really easily and quickly just by adding that one class. Div class equals width 33. So I'm just going to copy that and wrap each of my elements in it. Then I got to put the closing tag. Yeah, up here. And here. Okay, we'll save that and go and have a look at our there we go. So we've given it these elements. Something else you'll have to do when you're doing this float command is, so it doesn't get all wobbly at the end, is we put in another div with class equals clear. And that adds in the clear, it clears the edges of the block elements, so you don't get them stacking weirdly. Alright, let's have a look and see what we've done. There we go, we've just created a responsive 3-column responsive element to our web page. We've also got some other things that we can add in here, which is the center class, so we can add that into each of these. Center. You can add as many classes to each element as you want, just separate them by a space. Save that. And there we go, we've centered it. Now we can make other changes quite easily. For instance, if we want to make different changes for different screen sizes, let's say we want our icon to change size like it does in this one here. As we see, as we drag across, it gets smaller, so it fits into that screen size a bit better. Let's save and close this, and I'll show you how we did that. Okay, back over to the style sheet, and you'll see that I've got this class here added into each media query section, and I've given it a font size, and I've given it different sizes. I've got 7 EM there, 5 EM there, and that class there, where did we get that from? Well, that comes from our icons, and you can see that icon class equals FA camera retro, and then this class here, we've used that as the selector, and that is what causes it to change size like this. Now you can use those different classes. You can add 2 columns. You can have width 10 class and then a width 90 class. There's a whole bunch of them. If you have a look in there, you'll see all these different classes, and you can see how they work together. Obviously, a width 30, you can use that together with a width 70, or you can have 10 width 10s, or 5 width 20s, 4 width 25s, so on and so forth, 60 and 40. So, and they will act responsive, and you'll notice there's nothing in the phones, because by the time we get to phone size, we want each of those widths just to stack one on top of each other. So we don't put anything in those media queries, because we know that divs automatically stack one on top of each other. That's how they want to behave naturally. So the only thing to note is that sometimes when you're overriding custom CSS, you might be overriding a core CSS, and you may have to put this important value in after the property, after the property value. You may have to add important, and that will make sure that it overrides anything. As you can see, I've had to do it with that. So yeah, I hope you enjoy that tutorial, and I hope that you can use this style sheet, have a bit of a play around with it. There's plenty you can do. You can add in your own custom styles to that as well. All the information is on the style sheet itself, so enjoy.